Assalamualaikum and hi. We are from Group T and we will be presenting about the capacitor in power supply filtering. This is our team members. There are four of us. My name is FAQIHAH binti Salah and my IT number is DJ22042. This is our table of contents. There are five main topics and my team member will sell it as we continue to present. Introductions. A capacitor is an electrical component that has two terminals, and it has the ability to store the energy in the form of electric charge. The capacitor in the power supply filtering is used to filter out the frequency of DC power supply and to mean so that it can minimize the ripple coefficient of AC pulsations and smooth the DC output. So I will pass the next presenter. Thank you.
Thank you to FAQIHAH. So I will continue about how capacitor help filter and smooth voltage fluctuation in power supplies. So in power electronic, rectification is the conversion of alternating current AC to a direct current DC, which means from a two-directional way to a single-directional way. After the AC signal enter a rectifier circuit consisting of power diode, the resulting raw rectified waveform yield a series of half sine wave with significant ripple. We can look at our second picture. The waveform become half in order to minimize the pulsating DC voltage. A smoothing capacitor is placed in parallel with the load across the rectifier output. So the outcome, as the rectifier voltage rises, the capacitor charges and stores energy like a reservoir. Then when the rectifier voltage falls, the capacitor discharge, greatly reducing the ripple voltage. We can look at our last picture. The voltage become from a half sine wave to a single wave, which means the straight line. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana and IZZAIDAH. There are a few types of capacitor that can be used in the power supply filtering applications. The first one is the ceramic capacitor. Second, film capacitor. Third, tantalum capacitor. And lastly, aluminum electrolytic capacitor. Aluminum electrolytic capacitor is the kind of capacitor that are polarized, which means that it need to be connected correctly between the positive and negative terminal. These capacitors are made of a pure aluminum foil, and the aluminum oxide from the aluminum foil act as the dielectric of the capacitor. Many people like to use aluminum electrolytic capacitor for the input and output of power supply systems. This is because they have a high capacitance density, low cost, and high CV density. However, they have a high equivalent series resistance, low range of temperature, and it cannot be used in the overvoltage condition because it can explode. While the ceramic capacitor use a ceramic material as the dielectric and it was a non-polar device, which means that it can be connected in any direction, which makes it easier to be used. There are two types of the ceramic capacitor. The first one is the multi-layer ceramic capacitor (MLCC) and the ceramic disc capacitor. Even if the ceramic disc capacitor have a wide range of temperature and high voltage, people love to use the MLCC more due to the lower CV density, and they also have a high capacitance level and low equivalent series resistance. Next is tantalum capacitor. Tantalum capacitor is an electrolytic capacitor, and the tantalum oxide acts as the dielectric of the capacitor, and these capacitors are inherently polarized. Tantalum capacitor have a highly porous anode, and this means that it can provide a large dielectric surface area. Due to this, It has extremely high CV density with a wide range of temperature. However, there are few limitations. It has a high equilibrium series resistance, low voltage level, expensive due to the rare material of the tantalum, and last, it has a high leakage currents. Lastly is the film capacitor. Film capacitors have impressive self-healing properties, and some of them are made of the propylene and polyester as the dielectric materials. They are non-polar capacitors, light and small in size, inexpensive, but they are not suitable for high temperature applications. There are two types of film capacitor: polyester-based film capacitor and polypropylene-based capacitor. Polyester offers a high dielectric constants, while the propylene offers a low dissipation factor. So that's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and thank you FAQIHAH for the great explanation. My name is IZZAH FIRZANAH binti Muhammad RAFAEE with ID number TJ22039. For my part, I'm going to explain about examples of applications where the capacitors used for filtering purpose in power supply. First of all, capacitors used to smoothen DC power supply by connecting the capacitor to voltage regulator. Secondly, capacitor used to process signals in all types of filters, such as in audio equalizer. Third point is capacitor for filtering used in snubber circuit to stop radio frequency interference (RFI) so that the snubber circuit can be used for protection and improve performance. Next, the fourth, capacitors for filtering also applied in industrial machine and appliances, for example, computer and refrigerator, to prevent noises produced from the machinery. Lastly, high-pass and low-pass filter that apply to various fields including audio processing, image processing, and more. For example, low-pass filter can be used for smoothing image, while high-pass filter used for sharpening image. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is IZZAIDAH FAMI, TJ22054, and based on what my friend had explained in the beginning, I will be concluding our topic, capacitor in power supply filtering. So as we all know, capacitors are commonly used in power supply filtering to remove unwanted AC component from a DC power supply. The basic principle of using capacitor for filtering is that they store electrical energy in electrical field and release it when required. There are two types of capacitor commonly used in power supply filtering. As my friend had mentioned, the first one is electrolytic capacitor and the second one is ceramic capacitor. So electrolytic capacitor is a polarized capacitor that are made out of an electrolyte and two conductive plates. They have large capacitance value and are commonly used in power supplies to smooth out the output voltage by filtering out high-frequency AC noise. As for ceramic capacitor, they are non-polarized capacitors that are made up of a ceramic dielectric material and two conductive plates. They have smaller capacitance value compared to the electrolytic capacitor and are commonly used to filter out high-frequency noise from power supply. In power supply filtering, capacitors are typically connected in parallel with the load, such as circuit or device, to be powered. The value of capacitor determines the amount of AC noise that can be filtered out. And generally, larger capacitance value provide better filtering, but at the expense of higher cost and physical size. So in summary, capacitors play an important role in power supply filtering by reducing unwanted AC noise and providing a stable DC voltage output. The type and value of capacitor used depend on the specific application and design requirement. That is all from us. Thank you.